Video that starts.
Cybercrime is one of the fastest growing threats facing businesses today, and many companies only realize how vulnerable they are after an attack. Right now, somewhere in the world, a business owner is opening an email that looks completely legitimate. An invoice, a supplier request, a payment confirmation. Minutes later, their system is compromised. Cybercriminals are no longer just targeting large corporations. Today, small and medium businesses are among the most frequent targets, often because their cybersecurity systems are weaker. So the question every business owner should be asking is this: is my business protected? This Thursday on Vision 2026, we are unpacking the reality of cybercrime in business with two specialists from Nerds. On site, Keith Kinnear, technology specialist Lourens Dormehl, cybersecurity specialist. Together, we will explore why cyber attacks are increasing, how hackers target businesses, the real cost of cybercrime, and practical steps you can take to protect your company. Join us live Thursday, 08 am SAST, because in today's digital world, your business could be the next target. This is Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice.
Good morning. Another wonderful morning here in Pretoria. It's raining, can you believe it, again, and a very wet Thursday it is. So cybercrime is one of the fastest growing threats facing business today, and many companies only realize how vulnerable they are after an attack. So your business, is it there? Is it going to be attacked? Today we're going to be looking at what we can do about it. But first of all, we need to understand what it's all about. But before I go there, I'd quickly like to introduce our co-hosts. So we are joined by Mana Ruitz. Mana is a successful business person in Pretoria. She's an insurance broker, a short-term insurance broker. Then we've got Wilhelm Lombard. He's a energy coach, but he actually makes sure that your teams perform to their utmost standard. So welcome to Wilhelm. Then we've got Russell John Fagan, who is our sales coach, and he basically tells us how we can actually do sales. As he says, sales is not born, you can actually learn how to do it with perfection, and he's the man to talk to. And then we've got Jenny Jones, who helps you to identify your purpose in life and sets a plan so that you can achieve it. So welcome to our co-hosts. And then we've got our special guests from Nerds on Site. Now, the reason why we've invited them is because they understand cybercrime, they understand what it's all about, and they're going to be able to tell us first of all, what is cybercrime, why it's so persistent in today's world, and then to tell us what we can do about it. So let's find out from Lourens and Keith. Welcome to the show. Really great to have you here. So I'm going to start the show by asking Lourens, why is cybercrime so prevalent today? Over to you, Lourens.
Because it's all about money. Everybody wants to make some money, and the easiest way to make money is the criminal way. So what is cybercrime? Cybercrime actually started when technology was introduced in the world. And the first technology that was introduced in the world was actually the telegraph. And cybercrime already started there in 1834, if you can think about it. And that was the hacking of the French telegraph system to get financial data. I don't think everybody knew that, but that's the first instance of cybercrime. Now, modern cybercrime, however, began in the late 20th century, where internet computers began to interconnect, and people were able to actually access other computers through the network, through their computer. And the first one was actually in 1988, the Morris worm, that attacked all the computers and actually broke the computers from there. Today, it is cyber espionage. What we call is just getting information. I want to know what is the KFC's 11 secret herbs. I want to know what is Coca-Cola's recipe so that I can do that. It's espionage. Cyber warfare. It is being used in warfare at this stage as well. Um, we can see with the attack in Iran, the military actually used cyber warfare, where they actually attacked their defense systems with a flood attack, a DDoS attack, and they saw multiple incoming things, or they saw nothing because they were blanked out and they didn't even know their radar was there was nothing. And then, of course, large scale criminal enterprises. Um, there is a criminal enterprise running. And in the old days, you could say, okay, but it was the gun smuggling, it was the, um, what do you call it, human trafficking and all that. With that, it includes now cybercrime. That is also part of the criminal enterprise, and they make lots of money. And then we have what we call is nation state actors, where they actually hack systems and get access to systems to take over companies. They want to physically take over companies and make sure that they can physically capture. One thing that I love to talk about is Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, where they actually develop fighter planes. Now, one worker, employee there, lost his girlfriend of 2 years and his work just by forgetting to lock his password when he went to the toilet.
Oh,
She took his laptop and left. She was planted to get that information. And he forgot to lock his laptop. And after 2 years staying with him, she actually got access to that and she left.
yeah. So, Lourens, what has changed in the digital environment that has made it businesses so much easier to attack?
On the digital environment is the internet speed, the access to get to your system, the access. Just remember when we had 95 dial-up, we have dial-up, it was what, 75 bits per second or 75 kilobits per second. Then we got ADSL, which was 512 kilobits per second. But it wasn't fast. Connect to your computer was not quick, was not fast. To gain access to your systems was not fast. Now we have high-speed internet. We have fiber. We have up to 500 megs. I know Keith has got a 500 meg line. It's so easy to get into his system. It's a breeze because he's got the speed. But the other thing about it is, in 2015, ransomware took the world by storm, and the only reason why that happened was because of Bitcoin. I could get money in any currency paid to me in Bitcoin and from any country, and there's nobody looking at it. There's not a specific company. There's no formal, so it's not untraceable. So there's no blockage to get the money out. Doesn't matter which currency you are in, I can get the money. And that actually, and you will see most of the ransomware, please pay me in Bitcoin. The last ransomware that we know of was actually the Land Bank in South Africa, and they paid 5.2 million rand to release the data. Otherwise, the bank wouldn't have been able to continue with their work. So I believe they paid. And there's a correlation as well with the increase in the Bitcoin value and the ransomware paid out over a certain amount of time. So if we follow the track and we see, okay, but this university and its universities, its hospitals, they attack everybody and anybody and everybody. But the more ransomware paid out, Bitcoin price rise. More ransomware paid out, Bitcoin price rise. Bitcoin made it easy to get the money. And that's why it is so easy today to actually be a target. And everybody is a target.
Sure. So what you're saying, there's no follow-up. So in other words, they can get paid and then they can't find out where it went to. Is that what you're saying, though?
They can't trace the money. They can't trace the money.
Yeah. Russell, you've got a few questions for Lourens and for Keith. Unmute yourself. Keith.
You can unmute it.
I think it's probably a basic question, but it's worthwhile asking, and that is that smaller business think that they are outside the reach of cybercrime. What is making smaller businesses so attractive? Is it purely just the sake that they are not protecting themselves correctly, or is there other motivations behind it?
Well, first of all, it's because they're not protecting themselves so much. They don't have the budget to protect themselves so much, and they don't focus on it. They focus on building their business. They don't focus on cybercrime or cybersecurity. The biggest problem is you are a supplier or a doctor to a supplier. You have access to the supplier, secure access or unprivileged access to the supplier or to a customer of yours, which might be Lockheed Martin, which might be the Defense Force, whose security is tight, but we call it a supply chain attack. So I get access to your system, and through your system, I actually gain access to the other system, a more secure corporate environment or anything like that. So a supply chain attack is what's most prevalent is how they actually get in when they target the big guy. And we call it whaling, actually. If I can get David, I want to attack David, but I know Keith knows David. So I'll attack Keith and get into Keith's system. And from Keith's system, I'll send information to David. And David, okay, but I know Keith. I trust Keith. So Keith won't send me, and especially IT companies, a supply chain attack. And small businesses that doesn't have a dedicated IT person in place, a dedicated IT company in place, or anything like that, are so vulnerable and they don't know it. Because I can phone you, Russell, there's a problem on your computer. I got a report, I'm from Microsoft, there's a problem on your computer, and I need access to your computer now to stop it. And they allow them because they don't have a dedicated IT. They don't have a person, but hey, you're not my IT guy. They trust people who say they are IT. I always laugh. I do cybersecurity, but I do support as well. And when I phone a client, can I connect to your computer? They don't ask me 2 times, who are you, or why do you need access? Yes, thank you, you'll help me. And it is a trust relationship. And in a supply chain attack, and there is trust. And we are trustful people, we trust. When I did the Google cybersecurity training, it was interesting for me when they call it, how they call it, it is human error. We have a human error, and that human error is that we are inherent to trust. When somebody comes to help us, we are inherent to trust and to give everything to them. I had a client that gave me their login credentials to their Microsoft 365 environment. And it was just a referral. I phoned him because his brother-in-law referred me to him to help them set up the Office 365 environment. I said, no, don't give me that information. Give me access so that I can help you, but don't give me yours, because now I have access to all your data, all your OneDrive data, all your SharePoint data, everything. If you give me just admin access without a license, I don't have access to the data. So we are
Okay.
vulnerable because of what Google says is the human error, is where we are inherently trusting people that are helping us.
Okay. But in a nutshell, it would then mean that the smaller business is not really the target. It's who that business is associated with that could be the target, end target.
Yes and no, because the small business still can, for ransomware purposes, still can pay the money. You actually still have invoices that are sent to the supplier, and money they can actually get paid to them instead of to you
All right.
for work you've done.
Okay.
So the end of the
Thanks,
game is
Lourens.
money,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
think
your
you've
money.
also just answered, you've answered my second question right there, because the second question was how do they exploit the emails and invoices and so forth? But you've just answered that question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
but I can
Lourens.
also tell you how. What do they do? Actually, so I've got a client. One of my calls was this guy's Google email was compromised. It can either be via a phishing attack or via where they actually get that information from the dark web. But yeah, so it leaked data that they utilize and they access his Gmail account. The first thing they did was actually, okay, all incoming mail doesn't go to your inbox, it goes somewhere else. It actually physically goes somewhere else, like in your RSS feed or in the trash. And that's a rule they create. All mail that says invoice or quotation goes there. And you have to look at that, and then that's an indicator of compromise where we can see, okay, but something happened. All the email doesn't end up in the inbox, or when a client phones and says, I don't get mail anymore. That's an indicator of compromise where we can say, okay, but this client's email has been compromised because all the email is moved to another folder via a rule. But now he forwards that email as well to himself. And then he sends you the changed invoice or the changed quotation with the banking details changed. You receive it, you reply with the payment advice, but you don't reply to the supplier or the client. You reply to him now because he sent it to you. He then changed that, and from your compromised email account where you can log on to your webmail, he sends it out to your client with the changed email address. What happens is that it takes up to 2 weeks. They got the payment, and it takes up to 2 weeks. They come back to you, but we haven't received the payment. No, but I did send you the proof of payment. Yes, we did receive it, but the payment's not in our bank account. And when they started comparing what he now gives them, hands them, physically prints and goes to them and hands it to them, and the money is out of his account, and what they say, "Oh, but the bank account's different. The payment advice you sent me and the payment advice you now have in your hand is two different stuff. The bank accounts have changed." And that's when he phoned me, but what happened? How could this be happening? How did this happen? This guy got access to your webmail. He got access to your account online. And he actually created these rules and he sent the stuff forward. He was a man in the middle. And that's what we call a business email compromise. And that's purely for that payments. We had a case, it was actually, we had a case where the lawyers, 9 million rand, was paid for a purchase of a house into the wrong bank account. And it turned in the court who's responsible for that money. Because the lawyers didn't tell the clients that paid the money that this was possible.
So what happened there, Lourens?
Well, the case actually went. The first case actually was okay. It's a client's responsibility. The second case that happens, it went over to the Supreme Court of Appeals because they actually found the High Court, found that no, but the lawyers needed to inform the client, but they took it on appeal. And in the Supreme Court of Appeals, they actually said, okay, no, but it is still the action of the client that paid the money into the wrong bank account.
Sure. Lourens, I think Glenn's got some questions on human behavior, and I think that's quite on leadership and awareness. I think that basically comes to that point. Glenn?
Thanks, David, and yeah, very interesting talk so far. I must admit, I think I'm going to go and get onto an island somewhere and lose my phone, lose everything else, not have a laptop, and yeah, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. One of my questions is really about leadership, and many leaders obviously think that cybersecurity is secure about IT. And I think that's a general issue in the marketplace. So why should business owners and leaders personally be involved in that cybersecurity conversation?
Well, it is actually at the end of the day who pays. It is the owner who pays, and it depends on how you pay. And at the end of the day, because the onus is on the owner. But it's not one product to fix it all. It's not IT's. Everybody believes it's IT's responsibility to make sure everything is safe. But the responsibility, especially with the POPIA Act that came into play, the responsible person is the business owner. And it's not IT, because in the past we just say, yeah, but it's IT, it's an IT issue, and we shoved the responsibility to IT. It was easy. Now the Act actually says the responsibility stays with the owner. But it's not only that. It is a layered security approach, because who makes policy in the company? Who actually manages the policy? So the owner must take responsibility to ensure that policies and procedures are put in place to secure my company. If I tell you that you need a playbook for cybersecurity, and the playbook is, what is the steps I take when something happens? What needs to happen when I detect a breach? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to? And most companies doesn't have that. It's a disaster recovery plan in steps, in little playbook steps. For this is what happens when I need to do this, I need to talk to this person, I need to talk to that person. And that needs to be trained and taught to the users as well, or to the workers as well. I can tell you, in cases, I had a client that actually one day phoned me, and they had a compromise, but the user who committed the compromise was too afraid to speak up. He was so scared that he would be fired. And if he spoken up earlier, the compromise would have been solved.
Yeah. That's quite
But
scary.
because he was scared that of rebuttal by the owner or anything like that, he kept quiet, and the infection spread everywhere.
Yeah. That certainly speaks to the whole concept around leadership, and in terms of leadership doing the right thing. Yeah, quite amazing.
Yeah.
Quite fascinating. And obviously, prevention is better than cure. Part of that playbook should be how to prevent it in the first place. So,
Yes.
just another question from my side.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Keith, you said?
I said, absolutely, I totally agree. And especially user education, as Lourens said earlier on, to put those policies in place, the business owner's responsibility when they sign up the new employee, to put those policies in place that need to be there so that the employees are properly protected, or the company's data is properly protected. And the employees can't turn around and say, well, you're not allowed to monitor this or do that. Those things really need to be in place, and they need to be educated I think that's one of the biggest issues, is that just quickly click on that link and it won't be a problem. And those are things that are a big no, and major disciplinary action needs to take place if people.
Oh, you disappeared there, Keith.
Keith disappeared.
To a crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Keith. Just another question from my side. What mind shift? So let me try that again. What mindset shift do organizations need to make to move from reactive security to proactive resilience?
Well, I would believe take action in cybersecurity, know about cybersecurity, and work out your risk in cybersecurity plus training. We said, okay, but the risk is we can only mitigate the risk. We cannot remove the risk, but we can mitigate it. But it depends on the what do you call it, on the owner's risk resilience. David Redekop once taught me this. That resilience of the owner is actually, some people have a higher resilience to risk. Some people go and climb Mount Everest, and how the risk is high. Nobody will insure you, and I believe Mana will agree with me. Nobody will insure you for going to climb Mount Everest, because the success rate is only 15%. The rest of the people never come down, but there are people going. So it depends on the owner's risk, but know what the risk is. Ignorance is bliss. People don't know what the risk is, and they think, okay, but life is going on smoothly, and it's not. And that's why they only realize when they are being hit by something that, how could this have happened to me? I didn't even know about it. So first of all, take notice, just read about it more. Second thing is check your status. There's an easy way to check your risk status, is go to haveibeenpwned.com. I gave the link to David, and just go there, put in your email address, see where your data has already been leaked in the past. Have a look at it. Just notice it. We have services. There are a lot of people that have services that will look up for your company data, for your company email addresses on a monthly basis. Actually, is your data being compromised? Where has it been compromised? And don't attack a person that has been compromised, because social engineering is the skill where I get you to do what you know you're not supposed to do. I get you to click on that link, and you know I'm not supposed to do it. I've been taught not to do it, but I get you to click on the link. Yesterday, I got an email from a client. You never answered me. You never helped me to open this link. No, but I phoned her and I said, yes, I never helped you to open that link, because that link is asking for your credentials, your login credentials. Never give your login credentials when you are asked on an email to open a document, because that's how they get access to your online environment, to your data.
Thank you, Lourens. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, I must say that's a fantastic hint, and a great gem there. Just for time's sake, I'm going to ask Wilhelm just to ask his questions. He's talking about human behavior and the weakest link. Wilhelm, over to you. Wilhelm, unmute.
Yes, thank you, David. There's so many things that actually goes through my mind, but what you said just now, clicking on that link that you shouldn't click on, that is before we talk about heart intelligence. It's an interesting thing, but before you sort of know, before you get to see a dangerous thing, you already know it sort of, and then still you click on it. Ish, what's going on with that? And it's so important to just listen to your heart, to listen to your intuition before you just take that step and say, This is dangerous. But okay, we talked about the trust issue as well. You know, trust, uh, it nowadays, trust is not non-existent anymore. We can't trust anybody. In fact, how should I trust you guys? I mean, you're my cyber guys. Now, why should I trust nerds on site? Because you can be the criminal, you know? So that is a big, big problem. And when we talk about life energy, it drains a lot of energy to have distrust. And we fall into this situation nowadays that we are just distrusting everybody and everything because that's what you actually said. You said we must not trust. Don't trust people. And that's so sad. And like Glenn actually said, the best thing to do is to throw your cell phone and your laptop in a dam and just sit there where nobody can get out of you, no internet. That's the safest place. But okay, many cyber attacks succeeds because of that human behavior rather than the technical weaknesses. So, what are the most common mistakes employees make that allow cyber criminals into the system?
The way they utilize the email address, the way they actually physically give out their information. Your email address, and especially your work email address, and that's where policy comes into play again, is only supposed to be used for work, for communicating with clients and suppliers and colleagues. But what happens? What happens in real life? Yes, I start working, and the bank asks me to give them an email address. The one I know out of head is my business email address. I give it to the bank. I walk down to Checkers and I get that Smart Shopper card. And guess what they ask me to write on the documentation when I get the Smart Shopper card? My email address. What do? I use my work email address. I write that down. The same with Builders Warehouse and all those things. And that is, we actually squander that information all over. And that's actually privileged information. And the second thing is my password. I don't use hygiene. I don't use password hygiene. So I use the same password everywhere. So can I tell you a quick story? So in 2012, Dropbox suffered a data breach. And it was not covered, the full extent of the data breach was not uncovered until 2016. So how did they actually get access to Dropbox, which is a IT company's information? An employee reused the password that has already been exposed on a LinkedIn breach. That happened earlier. So he used the same password for LinkedIn for his Dropbox login access, the same email address and the same password. And these hackers just said there, let's try. Because we can see he's logging onto Dropbox, let's try. And they got in. And they then again actually found a file with all the usernames and passwords of all the users of Dropbox. And that's how leaks happen. So it's the way we utilize. I usually say we need 5 email accounts. Your business stays for business. Your banking stays for your bank. So when you receive an email from your bank on your business account, you know it's not your bank. Because that's not the email address the bank has. But then all the others that can leak, your online accounts, that's got their own email address. Your retail accounts has got their own email address. And Google makes it easy. You can actually use your personal Google account and just add retail to the front and online to the front of the email address. And when you receive the email, you will see it was sent to retail or it was sent to, and you can verify, is that the real one? But then on the other hand, there are so many ways to actually get you, to social engineer you to give me your email address and a password, because you have to sign up to use this trial software with an email and a password. You need to sign up to get access to this, and you need to put in your email. For this competition, give them an email. And for that, why don't we use the temp email? I sent the URL to David as well, temp-mail.org, for those purposes. And that temp mail works until you say, okay, but I want a new email address. So you can still receive incoming mail on the temp mail, but it's a temp mail and it is not linked to any account you have. And that we need to give to users as well, because they actually test and try software and try this and try that. I have one of the biggest compromises on malware years ago came from a little CD that was issued by a magazine. And the magazine's site was compromised, where they built the CD, and the malware was actually put onto that CD. And they will distribute it on the CD because the internet was slow. And we would buy it from the shop, and the CD, okay, because it's coming from a trusted source, we will plug it into our computer and we will run the software that is on there to try everything. And one of the things was malware or spyware that actually spread around onto all the computer systems.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. That was actually very informative. Maybe just to summarize this, what simple habits should every organization train their staff to follow to reduce this risk? What are let's just give me 3 or 5 things. I can only hold 5. Please do that.
Okay, first of all,
Okay, so
business email,
yeah,
just for
no, carry
business.
on.
Keith, you can go.
Yeah. Well, as Lourens says, your business email, your various emails that you are using, as Lourens has just pointed out, have at least 5 different email addresses, depending on whether you're using it for business or for the doctors, or for whether it'll be for your social media, another email address, etc., etc. So just in short, multi-factor authentication, very important. All of your different social networks on multi-factor authentication. That's where people pick up a lot of information about you. What have you got on Facebook? Are you sharing personal things on Facebook? How secure is your Facebook? Your other social websites. Have you got multi-factor authentication set up on each one of them? It can be done on each social platform these days. The platforms have that access. So backups. Absolutely essential. Many people think, I've got OneDrive, I've got Dropbox, it's fine, it's in the cloud, I've got a backup. What if suddenly one day you can't get into your OneDrive? Sorry to say, this has happened with probably about 5 or 6 of my clients in the last 2 or 3 years. One of the clients had metallic backups with us. I could immediately restore their data. They didn't even have to wait 24 hours for that. Within a short space of time, I restored their data. They could carry on with their business, with their work. So yeah, backups are absolutely essential. There's just a couple of them. I see time's running out, so I'm going to stop there for now.
Thank you very much, Keith. Yeah, I think what we'll do now is we'll go to Mana. Mana is going to ask some business risk and financial impact questions. Being a successful businesswoman, she understands this, and I think you deal a lot with, you're regulated being in the insurance industry, Mana.
Yes, absolutely. You know what amazes me sometimes when you sit in front of a business owner and you discuss their policy, and especially, the gaps in the cover, cybercrime often comes up, because you won't believe how small business owners think that they are immune to cybercrime, because Pity is really good with their IT. I mean, he's been working for them for years and years, and he knows what he's doing. But if an institution like Absa and Diskim and the likes are being hacked, I mean, they've got huge companies that takes care of their IT. So I just want to say, cybercrime is there for the taking for everybody to be hacked. So my question would be, when a cyber attack happens, what are the real costs to a business? Because I think often they forget, because we think about reputational damage, which I think is the most important one. And then you've got your business interruption because you can't work. You've got financial losses. You've got legal exposure. And again, copy. You sit with personal information. And if I think about me as a company, I know where people live, I know what security they have, I've got their banking details, I've got such a big variety of possible information that they have to funds.
Yeah, the biggest impact will be compliance, especially. Okay, reputational loss is amazing, a big one. We know if you lose your reputation, you lose your clients. When you lose your client, you
Yes.
lose your business. That is at the end of the day. That is what happens. So how do you go to your client and tell them, but okay, I supply you with dashboards for Ford. I supply dashboards to Ford, and through me, you've been compromised and you've lost millions. You've lost 2 months of production, and but no. Just trust me, it won't happen again. Um, Come on, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. So Ford will not utilize you anymore. And that's a fact because they lost 2 months of production because of you. But not only that, the biggest impact is downtime and catching up to data. When loss of data occurs, within 2 years, most small businesses close their doors. It is statistics say 95% of businesses close their doors after 2 years after they lost data. Now, a ransomware attack, they lose data. You don't have your debtors book anymore. You don't have you don't know who owes you what.
Mm, mm.
Um,
Um, yeah, just on that, I had a small company that I insured, and we were in the process of doing the cybercrime policy. Um, and then the documents, just every time we're there, after we'll complete the documents, we'll do it later, And then one morning, I had this phone call from this woman in a state and said, "Do we have this policy in place?" I said, "No, because we're still waiting for you." I mean, I've sent you thousands of emails, but nothing. It took 6 months, and I had to close the door. They've never been able to open up again or even start the business because, first of all, their reputation was shattered. Nobody wanted to do business with them anymore. And secondly, they did not have the financial means. And I think one thing we forget as small business owners is that we employ these incredible beings called humans, which is the cause of over 90% of cybercrime hacks to our
hmm,
companies. And then, if you think about curiosity, I think sometimes these beings are curious, and curiosity overtakes your intuition sometimes. So I think it's important for a business not to only have the policies and this book or whatever we call it, but it's awareness, it's training, it's education, all the time. I mean, when you a lot of companies have heard somebody say, "This is my policy, you have to adhere to it," and that's it. You need to educate all the time.
Yeah,
education is key,
absolutely.
but we need to inform people about. My purpose in life is to inform people about cybersecurity risks because people don't know. Business owners don't know what their risk is. How high is my risk? And yes, we've got the fastest internet now available. That increases my risk.
Mm.
So just quickly, in last year, a big company, Land Rover, Jaguar Land Rover in the UK, got attacked, ransomware, and they were down for weeks in production, not only in the UK. but in all their production facilities all over the world. So it is Solihull, Hazelwood, Wolverhampton in the UK, as well as Slovakia, Brazil, and India. All their production facilities were down. And it is estimated for them to be down. The loss of the company income-wise was 120 million pounds for 4 weeks.
Sure. Sure.
And to capture data, to get data, your data is years of data. I can think of clients that actually put up, it's a simple thing, it's put up thatch lapas. But all the drawings of the thatch lapas that they put up, they lost that. So now they can't, when somebody asks, okay, but oh geez, I've got a problem, my what do you call it? I want to sell my house, but the lapa is not on my plans. Can you just send me the drawings and everything so that we can put it on? I don't have it. Sorry, I don't have it. I lost it. It's gone.
Yeah.
So you have to pay somebody to draw that again.
Absolutely.
I think also another thing with unaware is, we're all paperless at the moment. So capturing data sounds very easy. But what if you've lost your stuff in the cloud? It's a huge problem.
Yeah. I had a situation where I didn't have a cloud. I just had a hard drive, and I took the hard drive with my computer, and there was a smash and grab, and they took the hard drive and the computer, so I lost everything. That wasn't cybercrime, but there was a physical crime, and I still lost my data. Time-wise, I just want to thank you, Mana. Thanks, Wilhelm. Thanks, Russell. Thanks, Glenn, for your questions. I've got a question, and I think this is aimed at Keith. And Keith, you actually started to talk about it. Can you tell us, for a typical business owner, such as myself, small businesses out there, what are the 5 most important things that we can do, like right now, to actually start protecting ourselves and our data that we have? Keith?
Well, David and everyone that's joined us today, firstly, most of these things have been mentioned. One of the things is user training or staff awareness. Make sure the users and the staff know more about how to protect the company's data. Obviously, password management. These days, one can't just use the same password for everything. How many of us do that? Come on. How many use the same password for a number of things? Because it's easier just to log in with the same password. So that's absolutely essential. There are very good password managers that one can download and use to protect and remember your passwords, help remember your passwords. Of course, multi-factor authentication, as I mentioned earlier on all your different, especially social networking. Backups, and remember, it has to be a POPI compliant backup, and it needs to be a secure backup. Our backups can retrieve data from when you started doing backups with us. We can literally get one document back if you need that back, even if it was accidentally deleted. And then your email security, of course. Many people have got POP and IMAP email. You've probably heard of that, even if you're not in IT. In other words, just email that you get from any service provider. Those databases very easily get corrupt. I'm assisting a client right now that's lost folders on his email. One needs to have at least a proper Exchange server with Microsoft 365 is what I normally implement. And then I generally don't hear from those clients. Everything is pretty secure. Everything runs the stability is improved tremendously. And then, of course, we actually back up the Exchange server as well, and we back up the OneDrive in case the client cannot get into those applications or the data gets encrypted. So we make sure that there are many ways of looking after the client's data. Another thing that was mentioned is layered layered security. So you don't just have a firewall like in the olden days and maybe an antivirus. One needs to keep an eye on the ball. You need to have security implemented in such a way that there are various layers of security. I'm not going to go into that because I know our time is up.
Thank you, Keith. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, I've got a Apple Mac, a MacBook Pro, right? And there's this misconception, I think, that Apples cannot be targeted from a cybercrime point of view. How true is that?
Now, that was true maybe 20 years ago, but I would say for at least the last 10 to 15 years, Mac's always been vulnerable. It's just that it wasn't targeted as much as today. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It doesn't matter what you've got, even if it's Linux these days. But Mac's getting bigger and bigger. Microsoft 365. Some people are becoming very negative towards Windows and Microsoft. You might have seen. So people are going more and more the Mac route, and it's just as vulnerable as any normal computer, and it absolutely needs the same type of protection. It's not just the computer that they're attacking, they're looking for data, and whatever computer is on your network is what they'll attack.
Sure. Okay, so I'm not protected, so I need to get protection. I want to ask you another question. How can tools like Have Been Pawned help people understand whether their data has already been exposed or not?
Yeah, I have been pawned. If you go into the URL, you can type your email address into I have been pawned, for whichever email address you have, and it'll tell you whether that email is actually been, how shall I put it, Lourens? If that email has been compromised, that's the word I'm looking for, on the internet. So go to I have been pawned, type your email address in there and see if that email address is compromised. If it is, change the password immediately or change the email address. And unfortunately many emails are not protected anymore and are out there on the internet. So you can go to their website and check out.
Thank you, Keith. What we'll be doing is on the newsletter that we'll be sending out, we'll be putting all these hints and these gems that both Lourens and Keith have actually identified, plus the websites that Lourens actually spoke to earlier on. I think the last question from my side is, many people hear about the dark web and don't understand it. I don't understand it. So the question is, what is the dark web? And I know we're short in time, but what is a dark web and how do criminals use that against us?
Okay, so the dark web is actually the place where it's a computer. It's a computer that's connected to the internet, but it's not advertised on Google. It's not advertised on Google. It's a computer sitting in someone's home. But to connect to it, you have to know the physical address or a protocol to connect to that computer. And that's the dark web. You don't see it. It's not seeable. You can't search for it on the normal internet. You have to go to what they call it actually a menu. You have to go to a certain menu where you can actually click on and it will take you to that server for that service. So it is something that's on the internet. It's open on the internet and available and everything, but you don't have access to it because it's not Google searchable and you can't just click on a URL. It hasn't got a website URL to access it. And that's in short the dark web. We utilize the web, but we just hide it.
And then how do they use that for cybercrime?
Well, it's not only cybercrime, but all the information is captured there. All the information that they gathered on compromised systems. So, for instance, the JB Group in South Africa that has been hacked and compromised in 2023, it is your Builders Warehouse, your PEP stores, all those things. That information they got from that, they actually save onto a server that is searchable through the dark web. It's actually indexed on the dark web. And when you gain access to that, you can actually gain access to that list of usernames and passwords. And you can buy it. They actually sell the data. You can buy credit card information on the dark web for 50 cents to the dollar per credit card information. But you can buy lists with the pins and everything.
So, Lourens, from your perspective, what is the single most important message businesses should actually take away from this discussion today?
We are all at risk for cybercrime. We are all the target of cybercrime. It's not. It's not. How do they know? How do they know me? It's how far down the list are you for when you will be attacked? Because most of us has been compromised because we use our email everywhere, and we just somewhere on that list. And how far they got to that list, and when they reach us, when they reach your name on that list, that's when you will, all the attention will be focused to you.
So it's not a matter of, it's a matter of when.
Yes, it's a matter of when.
Fantastic. I'm going to quickly go around the room and just ask what the takeaways of our co-hosts were, and then I'm going to ask Keith to sum up. Mana, what was your biggest takeaway from today's discussion?
Yes, I just want to actually, if I can, get to your map. Love the challenge. They're on the cybercrime like a business. They've got a CEO, they've got a PA, so they love a challenge. And then they sell that information. So let's just keep it yourself.
Thank you, Mana. Dormehl?
Yes, I can just say, I think don't worry about it. Just become aware of it and take the steps to prevent it.
Thank you, Wilhelm. Russell?
Yeah, I agree with Wilhelm. I think prevention is better than cure. However, the risk is real. It's scary when you say that you're on a list. It's just when are they going to get you? That's a different thought process. So, yeah, prevention is better than cure. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Russell. And Glenn, what's your takeaway?
Thanks, David. I actually created an acronym called WAVE, W-A-V, and it stands for be wise, be aware, and be vigilant. So there we go. That's my takeaway.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you. Keith, can you sum up and maybe just let people know where they can get hold of you and Lourens? If they need any,
Yes,
if they get a situation where they feel that they've been attacked.
Yes, indeed. You can actually just you can Google Nerds on Site South Africa, and there's a toll-free number there that you can call, and that'll direct you to one of the Nerds on Site support representatives, and we can then set up an appointment with you and come and secure your business. But please do remember, if you have Windows 10, you're not secure. No more security updates since last year, October already, incidentally. So make sure that your stuff is in place. Make sure that your things are protected, and we will gladly come and assist and do an analysis to make sure that your company is well protected and that the data cannot get lost. And if it does get lost, that you've got backups running, so that you no longer need to fear. Nerds on Site tries to take the weight off your shoulders so that you can run your business and concentrate on what's important, and that's the running of your business instead of trying to sort your IT out. Let us do that for you. We're the experts.
Oh, thank you very much, Keith. And thanks to Chris Wilkins. Thank you for your comment. I see there's also another comment that's come through here. Maybe we can just quickly address that. My IT guy says sometimes that when he needs to do the work, he battles to get permission, or there's too much red tape. He walks in with his computer in one hand, network cable in the other, saying, I'm the IT guy, I need access to this or that. And it's given to him. It's as easy as that. Yeah, so don't give your access to this gentleman who's coming around with his computer and IT cable. All right.
Or allow anyone to log into your computer. Absolutely essential.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I'd like to just thank our co-hosts. I know Mana's got an appointment that she's got to run off to, but I'd like if the rest of you could just stay on. We're going to play a short video, and then we'll be back next week. So thanks for joining us on Vision 2026, giving expertise a voice. That's what we do, and our experts today were Lourens and Keith, who from Nerds on Site. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week, and enjoy the video, and please stay on, all of us, so that we can just have a quick rundown afterwards. Thank you. Cheerio, guys. Thank you for being such great people.
Nerds on Site offers comprehensive IT solutions to small and medium businesses. They act as a complete outsourced IT department, managing, protecting, and optimizing your technology so you can focus on your business. They work proactively and monitor systems daily, preventing problems before they happen and ensuring that everything functions safely, quickly, and reliably. Services include network and server maintenance, cybersecurity, cloud security, backup, email protection, and Microsoft 365 support. You can use your technology effectively without hiring your own IT team. Keep your technology running with minimal frustration. Nerds on Site responds quickly, works professionally, and keeps things simple. You have peace of mind that your computers, networks, and data are protected and managed efficiently. They build partnerships by expanding your capabilities and supporting your success. Nerds on Site, personal service, local presence, and international expertise. IT support doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. Contact them today.
There we are. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done,
We're still live. We're still live.
There we are.